Well, welcome everybody to this episode of the Dream Portals podcast. Today's episode is How Spirit Comes to Us in Dreams, and joining us is Helen Salinas from Alight Healing. Helen is a retired registered nurse and now helps people as a medical intuitive, a practice that allows her to use her medical experience and knowledge and her psychic abilities and abilities as an empath. Helen can be reached at alighthealing.com. You can book an appointment in that website, and you can follow her in Facebook and Instagram. Welcome, Helen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Ileana. I'm quite honored to be here today and to be speaking about such a topic that I just hold near and dear and just I find very intriguing and exciting. So I'm really, really looking forward to today's podcast.
So, how spirit comes to us in dreams. I believe the reason the two of us are here today is because we both believe that dreams provide guidance. Some people, depending on the belief, like back in the day in the people of Israel, it was Joseph talking to the Pharaoh about these prophecies. In some other places, a millennia later, dreams were bad because it was the call of the devil in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages. And now we're been evolving, and now we said our spirit guides or spirit. So what's your take?
You've touched on so many things just now. Even as a child, as a young child, I was, just mesmerized by dreams because I was having recurrent dreams that I knew even, as an elementary school, student, these dreams were past life. And as you're talking about as you're talking about the Middle Ages, that was one of my recurring dreams as to what happened to me in the Middle Ages. And, it's a portal. It's a portal for spirit to come to us. And so many people are uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable to open themselves up. But in my practice, I usually encourage clients to, before they go to bed, set the intention. If you're missing a loved one and or you'd like guidance or you have a question, set the intention, ask the question before you go to bed, ask them to please come to you. Let them know that you're open to visitation. And you can gain so much comfort and knowledge by allowing, opening yourself up to visitation in dreams. So I do believe that so many have been discouraged to take it as, dealing in the other worlds and opening, portals you don't want to. But personally, I have had so much comfort and knowledge gained through visitation in my dreams that I highly encourage it.
So you said that you started recognizing that dreams were a sort of guidance or a past life memory recall at an early age. How old were you? How was that experience for you
to have this dream? It was scary because in the beginning, and I'll tell you what the dream is. I am in a castle under attack, and I'm on the castle, like running along the castle wall, and you could see the flaming arrows coming and like the barrels with like burning oil and the bodies, and you're thinking, this is not a normal dream for a 5-year-old, or because they started when I was 4 and 5, and it was recurring and recurring, and it was always the same things. And as children, we weren't allowed to watch any kind of scary movies
back in the day.
Disney and Sesame Street, that was it. My parents didn't watch those kinds of movies. They were usually working, and then if we, like I said, if we had TV on, it was Sesame Street or something, or Scooby-Doo or Saturday cartoons. And as I got, about the 3rd, 4th grade and going to the public library, I started gravitating to books on premonitions and past lives. My mom would look like, what are you reading these things for? And it's like, I have so many questions, because no one could tell me why I kept having that dream. And as I got older, I realized it was a past life that I was revisiting, a traumatic event in a past life, and coming to terms and dealing with it so that I could move on.
How did you come to that realization? How you put everything together to say for sure this was a past life? That's question number one. And question number two is being reoccurring. You're talking from 5 years old going to 9, and in child development, that's a huge gap to
Yes.
continue having those dreams. So how you realize it was a past life, and then what was the teaching or what you needed to remember from that reoccurring dream?
Well, I found a book at the library that was talking about a young girl that was very similar, but she was having recurring dreams of dying in the Titanic. And I was like, it was just my aha moment. And I just started looking more and more. I was trying to get past that feeling of, yes, we're under attack, but I'm surviving. They're not going to catch me. They can't, and I knew that I was running for my life, and I never died in this dream. We were under attack, but I was able to get away from whatever the attacker, the knights, the flaming arrows, everything. But it was the reliving those horrors. And, I started realizing what happened then pretty much gave me my fighting spirit now. I brought that forward, that no matter what has come at me through the years, I am still that fighter. I'm that survivor. And I started putting point A with point B. My family, since I was a very young child, if there was a problem, I'm the middle child. They brought it to me. My parents would know that I would take care of the issue. My siblings knew that I would take care of the issue. I became that go-to person that they, while everybody else was crumbling, I was still standing strong. And so I knew that that was giving me the information that I needed, that reminder that no matter what the attack is, you still stand strong. And even to this day, with everything we're going on with health issues with my mom and, things like that, I'm still the pillar that they, come climbing to. And it's been so, when I get unnerved by it and I feel like I can't take another thing on my plate, that dream will come back and remind me that, yeah, you're under attack, but you feel like your world is falling apart, but you still survive. And so it's finally gained meaning, and to the point where when I was in my early 30s, the dream finally shifted forward to, we were back at peace. There was peace within the castle. There was peace in life. And I remember, those dreams where it's almost point of view, where you're living that lifetime, but you're looking around and observing.
Oh my God, I have one recent a
Mm-hmm.
few months ago, and we can jump into that. I just want to
Sure, go ahead.
continue talking about your experience, but
Mhm.
point of view, I had that dream. It was all in one night, and it started from one point of view of being participant from the action, and then
Yeah.
it shifted to me being an observer, but it was still the same storyline, the same
Mm-hmm.
movie, part two. But I want to circle back to you because this is very interesting that you had a dream that you recall first at age 5. And now, not that I'm being unpolite here, but I know
Oh
you're
no,
a
don't be
grandma.
nice.
You're a grandma, and you're still having that as a reminder. And what I'm getting from you is that that dream was the reassurance from spirit, from your guides, that you're a survivor, you can handle this. Maybe a positive archetype of the warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the warrior adapts to the different battles.
Yeah.
I want to bring a positive archetype in terms of no, we're not get there, all in full body armor and killing people for a cause. There are different battles, and there are the smart kind of battle, the
Mm-hmm.
strategic, the looking ahead,
Yes.
maybe the political battle, which is
Mm-hmm.
more in the realm of thoughts and ideas. And you mentioned also that at some time there were like peacetime, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
associated to the same dream. Tell me more about that.
About it was, where can I put this? The entire, dream, while being under attack, I am still being reassured that I am going to move forward with this. And like I said, several years it leapt forward to where I'm actually observing the room that I'm in, the people I'm with, And I couldn't help but notice like putting my hand in the dream on the stone walls and feeling how cool they were, seeing the luxurious tapestries. And to me, again, it was like that reassurance. You survived. You made it through this part. And it just goes away. And for so many years, as I was seeing um, the turrets on the castle, the flaming arrows coming in, I remember just being terrified because I looked over at one of the barrels and they had oh gosh, how can I? They used to put the heads of the enemies on like
On
spears.
spikes, yeah, on
Yes,
spikes to
and they
show.
were preparing that. Now, again, like I said, as a 5-year-old, had no, I had never been, exposed to any of that. But to see all these things so vivid and know that no matter how bad they were showing me, I was in terror, I was in fear, but I knew I was going to make it. I was going to get away. And all of the dreams, I never was taken in as a prisoner. I was never killed in the dreams. I always managed to still get away and live to see the next day. Even though our family was under siege, the castle was under siege, everything I felt like was being attacked, I still managed to get away.
To get
And
away, and everything that you hold dear and important to you will preserve.
mhm, yeah, and
Wow.
I would never, in all of those dreams, I never saw any family members. It was always just myself, the situation, and the person coming after me, and just knowing that I had to flee. My family couldn't help me. I had to flee. So I just, as a kid, I'd wake up horrified and just, oh my gosh. But as I got older and started understanding more about it, it didn't scare me anymore. It was just, I really felt like it was time travel. Like I was going back and visiting a past life that helped shape and bring forward what I needed.
And well, you brought two things to this conversation, two extra things to this conversation, and is the time travel, that what we are calling right now time travel in the absence of a better term, and this point of view, because that's very important. I was talking to Diane in our first episode that for people, this is very important because as we have learned in many of us who have had the soul aligning,
Mhm.
that there's something called dream masters. The
Yes.
talents come from the soul. Let's for everybody listening to us, let's agree to the premise that all your talents, no matter what you do for a living, they come from the soul, and they have names and they have missions. And one of them is dream master. And the job of the dream master, I'll have an episode on that, is to design dreams to help others go through the experience of learning something or better understand their guidance. And I have found myself in many dreams just watching the movie. Like
Yes.
I'm sitting in the audience, or from like a director's point of view, and I'm
Mhm.
seeing how everything is unfolding. And many times I've been conscious to say, this is not my business why
Yes.
I'm here, why I'm
Exactly.
watching this movie. And I know how everything is going to unfold, and I don't intervene. So that's one in point
Yes.
of view. Now, let me share with you, and this also ties another subject in guidance, ties three things: point of view, perspective, and potentially a past life or a
Yes.
concurrent life.
Mhm.
Let's be open to the concept of lives that are taking alternate realities, just to make
Yes.
it simple, to use
Yes.
a pop culture term. So I'm in this dream, and for some reason, and this happens a lot to me, I know where I'm at, even when
Mhm.
there's not a map or a sign.
Exactly.
I know that I'm in a village in Eastern Europe, and it's probably around the first parts of the 20th century, maybe the First
Mhm.
World War. And we were three people, and I was a man, and we were defectors. That I know that was going on. It was a night, it was a battle, but we were trying to skip town because we were helping this woman to leave, and she was leaving behind everything, like running away, running for a new life, The night was really bad because the other guy was killed and we left them behind. And
Mhm.
these are things that are very point at me in a very significant way because, I serve my country in terms of war. I know
Yeah.
what a defector is,
Yes.
and I know that we don't leave our own behind. And those things came in a dream. It was a defector. We have to run, that body stay behind. Fast forward in the dream, not so much fast forward, I lost a leg that night,
Uh-huh.
but I managed to get this woman out. Whatever she was running away, she was determined to just live that life
Yeah.
behind. So I wake up in the middle of the night, which happens a lot.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, it's like, why am I'm getting this in so many details? Who is this woman? What's her name, and why I'm helping her? Go back to sleep, and the dreams picks up. That's
Don't you love
another
that?
thing. Yeah, yeah. The dream picks up right, right when it ended. So this woman, she managed to go to another country.
Mhm.
I got something like England, something like that, away from Eastern Europe, and she moved on with her life. But in this part of the dream, I'm an observer. I'm like observing her from afar. Kind of
Mhm.
interesting. Was this worth it? How did your life go? Did you have a good life? And it seems that in that dream, that woman, yeah, she moved to the country. She kept to herself. She lived her life. I don't know. To this day, I don't know if she had a good life. And I got her name too. So that much, woke up at the next day like, I would really appreciate if I get the lotto numbers or something that I can use.
That's what I think too.
Like,
Yeah.
what is all this Netflix miniseries that I got I got to watch me in one of the leading roles. But yeah, got the three elements there, which is the perspective, the past life, and the point of view, all mixed up. So
You know, being in a spiritual community where you have psychic mediums, you have card readers, you have astrologers, and so many different tools to go back and analyze. You touched on two things. I'm really interested into genealogy, and I started researching my paternal great grandfather's line. And as I went back, I got back as far as like the 1500s. They were like captains, and they lived in Spain. I got back to the time of was it Catherine Queen? She married Medici's son. It was Princess Catherine of
oh,
Spain. Yes, I got back all the way
Catalina
down
de
to
Medici.
when,
Yeah.
yeah, all the way down to when they were in rule was about the farthest I've gotten back on one side of the family, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's kind of crazy. Thinking that our lineage went that far back because, well, we've been around since everyone has been here since the dawn of time, and when we all have common ancestors. The other part was going back in dreams, and I have to think about this one. I was having a dream one night. I was in a cabin. I was a young child in a cabin, and I look at myself, point of view, and I'm like, this. It was like a gown made out of a flour sack or some type of linen, but it was very, very minimalist. And I look, and there is this very there's a wood table, roughly made. You can tell it was, handmade. There's a gentleman, and I'm looking up past. I was a young child, but I'm looking because I happen to have my hands um, on the table, and I look up at him, but he's looking at a map, and it's like, I look out the window. There's cornfields and no neighbors nearby, and I'm looking at what I'm wearing, and I ask him, "Where are we?" And the gentleman says, "Well, we're at home." It's like, "Well, where are we? Where is home?" And on the map, he points to a place, and it was a very minimal map. I mean, you could tell this was like in the early 1800s or so, middle 1800s, and he's saying, "This is our township of Berlin." And there's a line. There's like a line that said Illinois here, Wisconsin here. Now, at that time, I had never been to either state. I was not familiar, but I woke up. I remember sitting up, and back in the day, I'm telling my age here, went to a set of encyclopedias that had a map. And sure enough, you saw the little town of Berlin was close enough to the border where he had shown me. And I was like, here's this little bitty nowhere town that, is on a map. And I was like, that is so weird to get that dream that I knew I was there. I knew I was that little child talking, and then to actually see it on the map. I would have loved to have gotten names, but I didn't even think about it at that point. Like, who am I? What year it is? But just to be able to open up and look at that map and say, wow, this place really does exist. I just, as I say, I find the subject of dreams so interesting because of how it affects our lives in so many different ways. Again, whether it's a message, whether, it's reassurance of loved ones, there's just so many different ways that they improve our day-to-day lives.
That is true. Like you said, if we're open to the guidance. Now, what do we do with those dreams that apparently don't have a conclusion or a specific message yet? Like, I'm still working on that dream about leaving this war zone to help this woman, and then watching. I got some interpretations
Mhm.
from friends. Some of them, most of them, put the theory that it was me all the time. All the
Mhm.
people involved, it was me.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy who lost the leg and the woman that ended up. From my side, from my waking hours, I'm thinking, was it worth it? I'm just curious, did she have a good life? What is it? In 3D, as humans, we go into that kind of details. What
Mhm.
was so bad that I mean, living in a war zone is bad enough, but
Yes.
what was so bad that she needed to leave and with that drag the life of two people? What was, is this something that is going to come back at some point to a conclusion? What is the awareness? So for now, it's on the shelf,
Mhm.
but yeah, got me in the same dream, the different points of view of participant and observer, the
Uh-huh.
possibility that it was a past life or a recurring life or something that is still a work in progress, like a reoccurring dream.
But you kind of see, okay, you had the subject of being a defector then, and the subject of being a loyal patriot in this life. It's almost like you have to cancel and correct, is how I'm seeing this. For whatever action happened then that might have been out of your control, you corrected it coming into the next lifetime. It's almost like if you did something previously that you thought might have been bad karma and you want to make amends for it this time, you're doing everything to move forward and do your best not to repeat those same, occurrences.
Like atonement,
Yes, almost
some
like
sort of
atonement.
atonement.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's another view. One thing that I tell people when it comes to dreams is get a dream partner, a dream
Yes.
interpretation partner, because they
Uh-huh.
have a different perspective. Like, you just did that. You brought
Mhm.
something that no one else brought it up before, and they
Mhm.
know that part of my life,
Yes. Uh-huh.
but maybe they were too in the 5D 6D perspective, or
Mhm.
they don't, very seldom we're using the term karma these days,
Yes.
but
Exactly.
it's something to be examined. I do acknowledge
Mhm.
that. That's
Because
that's interesting.
as we continue forward, like you said, 3D, 4D, 5D, and we're taking, previous lessons and using them to help shape us, mold us, and elevate. I know that atonement, some people are like, oh, you took this to a whole religious thing. Well, it's not so much atonement, but sometimes we feel like if we couldn't do our best in one situation, when that situation arises again, we're going to try to raise that bar. So it could have just been something on a very personal level. It's kind of like cell memory. I don't know if you're familiar with the phrase cell memory, where sometimes something occurs in a past life. You might have had an injury. Say you died by firing squad, and you're born into the next life, and you've got this crazy looking birthmark.
Oh yes.
And yeah, things like that. It might have been something that you just had to move forward into the next life and release. Say, okay, it happened, and I release it now, and I'm moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. Yeah, that is true. I've known people with the case of the birthmarks. And well, a birthmark is a birthmark until it's not.
Yeah.
until those dreams start, and you go on a quest,
Mhm.
or you go on a session with professionals like you or Diane Shaver and take it to, or Ebony, through a
Ebony is
process of
yeah.
hypnosis, and those memories start coming up to correct whatever issue is
Yes.
affecting your progress or your vibration. Now, in this topic of reoccurring dreams and point of view, there's another thing that I found interesting because it's happening recently.
Mhm.
Places. So that dream that I just mentioned took place in Europe. I'm sure, as you can be of anything in
Yes.
dream time. I recently had a dream that it was Eastern Europe too. And that's a place that I have visited because I have traveled a
Mhm.
lot, mostly for work, and it's not necessarily tied to war. Also, what I did for a living after that. So I'm in this again Eastern European village, and I know because of the faces, the physical type of the people is
Mhm.
from that area. It's very recognizable. And it's nighttime again. It's nighttime. And I'm surrounded by these tall figures, all dressed in black robes. All kind of, they have the same faces. Whether they were men or women, they had the same faces and they were old. And there was going to be some gathering, and I'm right there in the middle of something like I don't belong. And I'm like
Mhm.
trying to find my way in. Excuse me, I'm passing through right behind you, that kind of
Mhm.
situation. And we were supposed to stay out there, lie down and on the ground. And I'm like, why? There's a perfect building right there. Why do we have to stay here? It's not that we're doing a campfire. No, everybody was going to lay down on the ground, look up, and in the sky, the Orion constellation was popping out
Wow.
like a huge UFO. The very defined shape of the Orion constellation. I found that was very cool. I was like, oh, okay, this is what everybody was expecting, Orion, in seeing that. But again, Eastern Europe. So
That's funny because
it's,
yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I keep hearing druids. Like it was very much, and I know a lot of times we think about their association to like Ireland and such like that, but I'm hearing that it's like druid in the same. It's not in a bad way, but it's like you're worshiping, like they would get together and celebrate in nature and not so much church. It was more of that. And you think about how families have migrated from one area to the other, and you still bring your core beliefs with you. And so for them to all look somewhat familiar, or I mean, similar, and I kept hearing spirit in back. They were druids. They're druids.
they're druids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Because they didn't look like their features were not druids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but they were expecting that. That's why we were staying outside, waiting for the constellation to pop out. It
Mhm.
was like watching a movie. It was spectacular. Because
Beautiful. That's one thing I love is looking at the stars, just finding the peace in looking up. And I don't know, it's just something about it.
and to me, Orion has significance because I remember since little watching those three stars from the
Stars.
belt in the sky
Mhm.
because it's very, very distinctive.
Distinct.
And
Yeah.
because of my birthday too, is the day of the three wise men, and we call it over there at home the three wise men. So,
Uh-huh.
and being also
Wow.
geographically located not exactly in the area, we're not talking Middle and Far East,
Mhm.
but obviously closer than what we're here
Yes.
in the US. So I thought it was a cool dream because even if it was at night, which is something that never worries me, seeing
Mm.
nighttime.
Yeah.
It's not, that's another aspect of it. There might be people that are uncomfortable with the setting. Is it in water because they're afraid of the water? Is it at nighttime because you don't like to be by yourself in the dark? Nobody does in their waking
Yeah.
hours, in the same judgment, uh, to be out there in the dark. But to me, these dreams at night, they don't bother me at
Yeah.
all.
It's like I get that. I totally understand that it's not whether it's, morning, noon, night, that part doesn't bother me. It's the I look at the action around me as to where the importance of the dream is, not so much the time. But yeah, I get that. And I was trying to think, it's like, have there really been that many dreams? I can't think of any that have really stood out as, oh my gosh, it happened at night and you were in danger. And like the
Well,
only ones I have at night, I will say
mm,
this, the ones that I have at night, and I haven't had this in a while, but for many years I did. My grandfather and my uncle would be driving a car and I would be in the back seat. And I knew wherever we were going, it was a happy place, but they didn't talk. But yet I knew I was safe and I was cared for. And as I would think about it, it's like, okay, what is the meaning of this dream? And it was popping in all the time. And it wasn't during a time of crisis or a time when I was sad. It was just out of the blue. I would dream them. And I was very close to both my uncle and my grandfather. This is my maternal grandfather growing up. And I took it to come to me as a sign that they're always with me and guiding me, that no matter where life takes me, I'm going to know that they're with me and guiding me. And one day I was at work. I was working on the oncology floor, and a friend of mine had lost her mom, and she was a cancer survivor herself. Very sweet nurse. And she goes, I need to ask a question. She goes, and something, she goes, I don't know why. She goes, but I keep being pushed to ask you this question. And I said, well, what is it? She goes, I lost my mom, many years ago to cancer, and I'm a cancer survivor. I said, yes. She goes, I keep having a dream where my mom is driving the car and I'm sitting in the back seat. And I'm getting goosebumps. She doesn't talk, but I know that I'm okay. She goes, and she's driving the car and I'm just kind of looking and I don't really know where we're going, but I'm cool with it. And she goes, but I keep having this dream. And I looked at her, I said, she's telling you not to worry, you're going to be okay, that she's by your side. And she goes, I wish you were here because I'd love to have a baby, but I'm afraid to have a baby without her, without her guidance. Because, you always feel like you need your mom or a maternal figure. And at that time, I remember her saying, you're going to be fine. Your first one's going to be a little girl. Well, a few weeks later, she found out she was expecting, and she never really thought that she was going to be able to have children after being treated for cancer. Turns out she has 6 now.
oh, wow.
Yeah, 6 children. But the fact
So,
that, she felt pushed to ask me about the same dream that I was used to having. I mean, how often do you have, similar dreams? And I was like, well, she's guiding you. She's letting you know that she's got you. She's got you, you're okay.
which brings another subject is symbols. The
Hmm.
car,
Yeah.
what direction you're going. Are you safe in the car? It's not the car that you're gonna buy. Because that's the first thing when people wake up. Either is, oh, I'm gonna get this awesome car, or oh, I was driving a crappy car. No, that is not what the dream means. The dream
Exactly.
is who is driving the car. We're
Hmm.
going back to the point of
View.
view and
Yes.
perspective. Who is driving the car? Where you are in that car, and are you going in the right direction?
Hmm.
Is everybody in the car with the intention to go in the right direction? They feel safe in the car. So it's a great
Exactly. No U-turns, no changes of direction. You're just going forward.
going forward. Exactly. Is the car parked? Did the car break down on your way to whatever?
Yes.
Did you make it to the destination?
Mhm.
Or the destination was not even the point?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
those
But it wasn't about the destination. It was about the people that were around you in the car.
driving you to wherever. I had a similar car dream with my attorney. And he was driving. And many people will laugh at that kind of dream. Yeah, that's who I want to drive my car. Well, it depends. It depends on the situation you are, because if I were to use your dream as a guidance where you were having that person driving the car and you feel safe,
Mhm.
uh, that's that's an indication, not necessarily that you're going to get in trouble. It might be the reassurance that that's the right person to be by your side. That's the person who should be dictating where we're going. No, you trying. If you didn't go to law school, you
Mhm.
cannot even read more than 2 paragraphs. I don't think
Mhm.
you should be the one dictating to that person how this is going to go. again, it's not necessary that you're going to trouble and you got arrested and your lawyer is going to pick you up. It's not that. It's check all the elements.
Exactly.
Check all the
It's
elements.
funny that you brought that up. I mean, point of view. If you're in a car and the two people driving you are officers and you're handcuffed in the back seat, totally different dream.
Exactly.
Very different meaning to that one. So
Which
yeah,
is not
definitely.
necessarily that you're going to be arrested. Is an analogy or a symbol that you are in a situation that you have no control
Exactly.
right now.
Hmm.
Not only you don't have any control, the outcome doesn't look good at that moment for you.
Hmm.
It's that simple.
Yeah, and you got to think about it. You're letting strangers be in control of you. You know, how often do you know the officer that's going to arrest somebody? You know, things like that. There's so many different factors and clues within the dream, and a lot of people will wake up and say, "Oh, I had the craziest dream." Start to dissect it. Look at it. Was there a message for you? Was it really just something, totally off the wall that, because to me, like I said, when I dream, I usually can find the message within the dream. It's either someone's coming in, someone's going out, I'm being reassured, or just given guidance. I went to bed thinking about something and asking for um, assistance in figuring out my next move, and the answers will come. And so I like that you can keep a dream journal. Keep a pen and paper by your bed. And I like to tell my clients, I said, focus on the questions or the guidance you want. I said, in the morning, as soon as you wake up, start writing what you remember about your dreams. I said, and then during the day, different little pieces will still come to you. Write those down
Oh,
too.
yes.
Don't just disregard them. I said, and you're going to see how the dots connect. You are going to. I said, that's a practice I highly recommend. To take stock in your
Absolutely.
dreams.
And I said this in other episodes. If you're the kind of person that need to be in places in the morning, if we go to our phones to check Facebook and Instagram, we can open the recording app and
Yes.
just talk to the phone about the dream. That's it. Doesn't take, I can assure you, it's gonna take you less time than getting to all that drama of social media.
Mm-hmm.
So get the recording apps. They're very good. Just
Mm-hmm.
you don't need a sound quality for that. It's just logging in your
Exactly.
dream
Yeah,
and you're
just
done.
keeping a personal message to yourself. Just start, talking about what you dreamt and who was there. And during the day, if you want to add to your notes and then, reflect, because you're right. You get on social media, that's a rabbit hole. You start going page to page to page, and before you know it, you've lost a couple of hours. I'm sorry for the movement here, but my partner and co-reader, Mr. Cupcake, has come out, and when he's very funny because he goes off of people's energy. If he's
Oh,
very drawn to your energy, he's
oh
going to be very
wow.
he'll be very present for your reading, and he'll even pull cards for you.
Oh wow. This is a
Yes,
bonus.
he is, and it's funny. That's why I do the majority of my readings are video readings, and he will come up, be present, and pull cards.
And we'll leave you with this cliffhanger in this part one of the episode of How Spirit Comes to Us in Dreams. So, what was Cupcake's pick of cards for Ileana here? Let's check it out in the beginning of part two. See you soon and sweet dreams.